Okay, so what I have is an older Ryobi Corner Cat Orbital sander. Got it at Lowe's or Home Depot some time ago. There's the model information and whatnot. I've had it for a long time, but I haven't really put it to a lot of use until yesterday. Kids and I are working on a sanding project. It was working pretty well, and then the orbital part started to slow down to the point where it's completely useless. I took an air hose to it, blew a bunch of sawdust out of it, did my best to clean the thing up, plugged it back in. It still would not orbit. It would orbit slowly, and then when any sort of load was put on the sander, it would stop doing its thing. So I figured I would take it apart and see what I could figure out and hopefully share what worked for me with you guys. So first thing I did was take off the adhesive pad here, the Velcro pad. There's just several screws here. Just take those off. Just a regular Phillips. There's 6 screws or 5 screws, and they are all the same length. So there's no reason to keep them separated or any kind of order. If you have an orbital sander, I imagine the design hasn't changed much. So this piece comes off. I'll lose those screws. And there's another little plate in here that also has to come off as well. It has 4 Phillips screws holding it in place, so we'll take those off. Again, the screws are the screws are the same size and length as the screws I just took out on the outer piece. So I'm just kind of throwing everything into a pile here. Hopefully I don't have anything left when I put it back together. And then this piece comes off as well. You just kind of have to massage it off, be gentle with it. Now what I found inside was a motor, fans, and there was this ball bearing, and it's kind of on an offset shaft, I guess you want to call it. So when the motor spins, it creates an imbalance, what basically causes the orbital motion. This bearing here had frozen up. It turned with a lot of difficulty. So I figured that was my cause. I plugged the thing in, it worked fine, the motor ran fine, so I was able to determine this bearing right here was keeping my orbital sander from orbiting. I like to use brake free on stuff like this. It's a penetrating gun oil. It works great. I've used it on other stuff. Put a little bit around the rim of the bearing here. Started spinning it, and the thing spun great. I guess almost like new. I don't know how long it'll last. Since it's a sealed bearing, I really can't get any grease in there. But once I did that and put everything back together, the sander ran flawlessly. So if you have a Ryobi sander or some similar sander that's having a similar issue, take that thing apart and have a look at this bearing. I was pleased with the results. I'm sure I might have to take it apart again in the near future to re-lube it, but I don't have to buy a new sander. And if you look at the piece here, this piece here is the one that goes over the bearing. It's somewhat sealed, so any dust and stuff get in there, might still get in there, but it may hold that lubricant longer than one would think. So reassembly is the same as disassembly. Hope this works for you, and thanks for watching.